it's Alice, and today I'm gonna take you on a tour of some bookshops here in Oslo. I've actually just come home from a little excursion in downtown Oslo where I met up with a friend and we went to a bunch of bookshops, and I filmed a bunch and we just perused and I got some books and it was great, and I figured I would show you. So I think first I'll show you the bookshops and then we'll come back here and do a little book haul and I'll show you the books that I got. So we'll let voiceover Alice take over and maybe she can tell you some stuff about these bookshops. Alright, so we're going to take a look at 5 bookshops today, and we're starting our journey close to the National Theatre and the Royal Castle and parts of the university. You can easily walk between all of the bookshops we're going to today, and the first one is Norli Universitetsgata. This is one of Scandinavia's biggest bookstores, and they've got loads of academic literature and textbooks, so like when I went to school, I used to get my school books here. The bookstore is spread across 2 floors, and a cool thing about this one is that they sell books in not only Norwegian and English, but also in French, Spanish, and German, as well as Swedish and Danish. I love looking around this store. I come here quite often because they've got a great selection of the types of books that I'm usually interested in. They have a good selection of books in English, and I can always find something in here that I've never heard of before. Secondly, we have got Norli Antikvariat. Now this one I'd never actually been to before, but we walked by and decided to pop in, and they had a book sale in the alley next to the store, but the best part was definitely the inside. This one has actually been around since the 1890s and has a really cozy feel to it and has that like old bookshop vibe, and there were loads of books about art in here, and this one is also spread across 2 floors. This had loads of old books, obviously, but also a bunch of maps and prints and a lot of just weird things. Like, it felt like a shop of curiosities in the best possible way. A little further down the road, we find Tronsmo. Before we get in here, though, notice my friend walking into frame there and then realizing I'm filming, which cracks me up. Now, this is an independent bookshop as far as I'm aware, and I actually hadn't been to this new location. I'd only been to the old one years ago, but this new one is beautiful, and I'll be stopping by here a lot, I think. There are loads of English titles to choose from here, lots of books about art and politics and music, and their translated book section was fantastic. I saw a lot of books I'd never heard of before when I looked around and noted down loads of interesting titles, which was great, and they also have a whole section with comic books and graphic novels, and I got like 4 books from this store, but more on that in a minute. I feel like if you're going to go to any one bookstore in Oslo, I think this one is it. Moving on, we went to Outland, and this is a store I've been frequenting since I was a teenager, and they've had loads of different locations, but they recently moved into a bigger and better space, and they were still kind of in construction, so it was a little bit messy today, but that's okay. This store has loads of things, not just books. Like, they've got fandom items like t-shirts and collectibles, and they've got loads of board games and Lego and all kinds of things. This is a great place to visit if you're looking for fantasy or sci-fi books, though. They've got an amazing selection, and it's also great if you're looking for graphic novels and comic books. Lastly, we have Norli Eldorado, and this bookstore is actually in an old movie theater. So I remember back in the day, like ages ago, I used to go see movies here. It's been entirely rebuilt though, and it's now one of Oslo's biggest bookstores. This is a really fun bookstore because it has all of these different levels, and I like it because they've got a really good selection of books in English, and it's just fun to wander around such a huge bookstore because they have so much to choose from and so much to look at. They've also got an arcade section on one of their floors, which is pretty cool. Then we have got this delicious grilled cheese and iced tea that we got, and that was it for the tour. Let's return to the book haul. So I've got the books in my trusty tote bag, and this is actually a tote bag from basically Brit. She makes these. I'll leave a link to them down below. She's a fellow booktuber, and I have a lot of books in here. I hadn't really planned on getting that many books, but then there's something about going to bookshops, like several of them, and just like looking around, and they have like different things in different bookshops, and yeah, I just got a bunch. It's been a while since I've really gone book shopping in physical bookshops. I haven't really been to a lot of them since the pandemic broke out, and it was so fun to just like find things that you've never heard of before. So I'm just gonna take these out randomly and we'll just go through them. The first one I have is this. This is The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique Roffey. And there were two things that really drew me into this. First of all, this cover is lovely. And second of all, it's a book about mermaids. It says on the back that this is about this innocent young woman who has been cursed by jealous wives to live as a mermaid. And I think this fisherman, one day when he's out at sea, he runs into her somehow. Maybe he like captures her or something. I don't really know. But I think they kind of maybe fall in love and then she turns back into a woman. I don't really know, but it says on the back here that this is a bittersweet love story between a beautiful young woman and a fisherman, and it's a joy to read. It's also the Costa Book of the Year of 2020, and it says A Unique Talent by Bernadine Evaristo. So I have high hopes for this. I feel like I haven't read a lot of books about mermaids, and it's something that I'm interested in, I think. The second book that I got is actually an Agatha Christie novel. This is Halloween Party, and I think I'm just very excited about fall. Like, fall is my favorite season, and I'm really looking forward to it. Like, I like summer, but we've gotten to that point in, like, the summer where it gets a little bit too hot for me, and I start longing for fall, and this has a pumpkin, and I'm guessing it's set at Halloween. This is a Poirot mystery, and I'm pretty sure that I've never read this one. I read most of the Poirot books when I was like younger, but I've forgotten a lot of them, and I don't think I read this one. It says that it's about this hostile 13-year-old who's at a Halloween party, and she tells everyone that she has once witnessed a murder, and then no one believes her. And she storms off and she goes home, but then a few hours later, she is found dead, which sounds intriguing. And I feel like it's just fun to have like a book that's nice to read around Halloween, and I find that Poirot is always great, and it's not like too scary for me. The next book that I got, I had heard of, and I'm sure you have too, because it's The Queen's Gambit by Walter Tevis. And I still haven't watched the show, and I kind of want to read the book first. And since it's been like, that show came out ages ago and I still haven't watched it, I might as well just wait a little bit longer and then read this first and see how that goes. Those of you who have watched the show will know what this book is about, but it says on the back here that this is about this girl who is sent to an orphanage at the age of 8, and she finds two ways to escape. She plays chess, and then she takes these green little pills given to her and the other children to keep them subdued. I actually didn't know that, so I guess she's like a chess prodigy, but then she's also a drug addict. And the show looks amazing, but it looks to me like the kind of show that's good for like fall and winter, so maybe I'll try to read this in late summer and then finally watch the show. Then we have got a book that I hadn't heard of before, but I've read two other books by this author, and I didn't know that there were more of this author's translated work available, so when I found this, I had to get it. This is Kitchen Curse by Eka Kurniawan, who also wrote Beauty is a Wound and Man Tiger, both great books. He is an Indonesian author, so these books are translated, and this is, I guess since it says stories, it's like a short story collection, which is exciting. I think that this author's work is great. It's like, this author might be one of my favorite like translated authors that I've found. His stories are a little bit on like the weird side, but I don't mind that. I think that's kind of cool. I also really like this cover. It has like skeletons on it, which is, to me at least, pretty cool. Another translated book that I got very caught up in like the translated section of one of the bookshops, and I found like 3 books there. This is One Part Woman by Perumal Murugan, and this is translated, I think, from Indian. It says a major Indian writer on the cover, at least. I think, first of all, this cover is fantastic, and this says it's about these people who are married and they are perfectly happy, but they are struggling to conceive a child, and they're trying like everything, and it makes them really unhappy that they can't have children. And so I think they go to this like festival where they're allowed to sleep with other people. I don't really know, but it just looked kind of cool, and I just want to read more translated books, and I thought I would give this a go. It looks great, and this was, yeah, it was first published in the original Tamil, and then it's actually sold over 100,000 copies in India, which is very cool. Yet another translated book that I got is this one. This is At Night All Blood is Black by David Diop. And this has been translated from, I think, French. Yeah, it's been translated from French. And the thing that got me about this is that I got this in like the third bookshop we went to, and I saw this in all of those bookshops, and I kept like picking it up and then putting it back. And then I got to the third bookshop and I was just like, I guess I'll just get it. The story in here is about these two Senegalese soldiers fighting in the Great War, and they are like best friends, and then I think one of them sadly dies, and that drives the other friend like insane, and he just like goes at it and turns really violent, and he really like devotes himself to the war and to violence and to death. And that sounds heartbreaking, but also interesting. It says that this is an unrelenting take on war, race, masculinity, and colonialism. And it says it's full of sadness, rage, and beauty, which sounds fantastic. Second to last, I got this little book. This is How to Stay Sane in an Age of Division by Elif Shafak. And Shafak is an author I am really, really interested in. I've read 2 books by her and I really want to read more, and I just saw this and thought it looked good. I really like her writing style, and I like a lot of the themes that she discusses in her fiction. And I'm guessing this is like non-fiction. And it's about how to stay sane in basically our current age, which is not always easy. Lastly, I got this beautiful book. This is the only like hardback that I got, and I'm not gonna lie, the cover drew me into this one. This is Star of Acre by Andrew Michael Hurley. And I picked it up because of the cover, but then I read on the inside and I read something about the occult, which I'm always interested in. This says it's about this married couple who live at their house by the moors, which used to be full of life but is now a haunted place, and they have lost their son, I think maybe their only son, and the mother is convinced that the boy is still alive in some sort of form, so she seeks out these occultists to help her, I guess. And then the father is trying to like keep the boy out of his mind because, I'm guessing because he's grieving, and I just thought it sounded interesting. It sounds like the kind of thing that might get a little bit dark, and I would guess that by like the cover. And I think again, I'm really looking forward to fall, and this looks like a very fall appropriate book. So those were all of the books that I picked up today. Pretty good for only one day's work. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at some bookshops here in Oslo, where I live, and thank you for coming along with me. As usual, links to my Patreon and other social media will be in the description if you're interested, and I will see you soon. Bye!